Tonight's big story. The government has admitted our education system isn't good enough, but says it has a plan. In the words of the Associate Minister of Education, we must do better for our kids and ensure they are getting the education they deserve.
All aboard the train.
For years, our falling literacy and numeracy standards have been flagged by teachers, academics and parents.
We understand the sense of frustration that they have had for quite some time. Teachers now can see where we are heading to, and that will give them some confidence that we have a strategic focus.
Nina Hood is the author of this week's critical report highlighting the dire state of our kids' literacy. For her, a strategic focus isn't enough.
We're never going to see improvement in literacy until we actually know exactly what it is they're wanting to happen. So without that detail, it's very hard to actually come to a judgment about whether this is going to make a difference for all students.
People who are looking for an instant, overnight, what's the magical solution, they're ultimately going to be disappointed.
So, instant and magical are off the table. In fact, the curriculum refresh won't be rolled out until the end of 2025. What has been promised today are stronger guidelines for teachers on what and how to teach, and new assessment tools for measuring how kids are tracking.
The supports are right there in front of you so that you can gauge what children need to be learning at their year level.
Well, for more on this, let's bring in Liam Rutherford from the NZEI Teachers Union. Liam, thanks for joining us tonight. I understand you're on board with the general strategy, but what do educators really need from the government to improve things?
Yeah, people have been really clear that we need the staffing and resources to be able to bring the strategy to life. We think at a big picture level, it's really nice to see something comprehensive that is going to bring that focus and direction to literacy. But we need to make sure that the strategy isn't just going to be something that is going to end up on shelves in schools. We actually need the staffing and resources to be able to back our educators to get out there and implement it.
To date, have schools sort of been left to their own devices too much?
Yeah, that's certainly the feel out there that actually there's a number of different approaches playing out across different schools. And we think that that's one of the real strengths of the strategy is that it is going to provide that coherence and that clarity around what evidence-based literacy communications and maths looks like.
Yeah, you've mentioned that you need more support for staff. So are teachers getting the training that they need?
No, and so there won't be a primary school in the country that will talk about having the support that they need. I mean, schools are feeling under immense amounts of pressure right now because there are too many competing priorities. One of the strengths of the strategy is that it talks about that kind of end-to-end support, and so starting right with the approach that we're taking to training new teachers all the way through to the professional learning and development available to schools. Alongside that, and this is where we haven't seen the commitment from the government yet, is to make sure that they're prioritising giving teachers and principals the time to be able to implement this.
Yeah, so these days, of course, schools are grappling with lots of social issues, greater inequality. Are we just expecting too much from our schools?
Well, I think that's probably a question that we need to be answering collectively at a societal level. I mean, on one hand, it's a sign that people regard schools as really safe places that can be addressing issues. But I guess what we haven't seen is the resourcing and staffing support coming in alongside schools to be able to meet some of the demands that our communities do have on schools.
Okay, well, let's see what the government can deliver in that regard. Liam Rutherford, thanks for your time tonight.
Kia ora.